looked at the group therapies, I looked at the medication, and in the back of my mind, you know what I said? Well, this isn't working. There are two systems of healing today. One's based on fear and one's based on faith.
Breast implants making women sick.
I had a close friend that had hers removed after 4 years, and the doctor didn't tell her this, but the nurse said to her, you know, they're mouldy.
What roles does faith play in healing?
When I became a Christian, I wanted to know, how does God view the body? Well, it's not rocket science, is it?
Do you ever think that there's a time and a place for medicine? All right, what's up, guys? So it is very, very rare that Mark and I geek out over anything, but I think it is fair to say we've geeked out over this next guest. The wonderful, the great and mighty, the woman, the myth, the legend, Barbara O'Neill's on today. Yes. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Man, thank you. Thank you. You just got into Texas, I think last night you said, right?
No, we drove from Oklahoma this morning.
This morning you got in, okay. What do you think of the great state of Texas?
Oh, I haven't had much of a look yet.
Yeah. We got to see a lot of studio space and a lot of trucks,
Yep.
which is always fun.
It's pretty hot out there.
It's warm, right? It's warm. You need the cold plunge.
We do.
Well, so we were kind of talking before the show about just like routines and everything, and you had mentioned the cold plunge. Is that like a daily routine for you? How often do you do that?
It is. I've probably been doing it for about 15 years now.
Okay.
And I just
every day.
Love it. I'm sold. Well, sometimes I can't do it, but when I drive into a place, I've got my eyes open. Any lakes, any creeks, any rivers, any seas.
So anywhere kind of works for you.
Yeah, you name it.
Okay.
So when you're at home, is it in a pool or a tub? You have a cold plunge machine?
A creek.
A creek.
Yeah, we've got a creek. We've got a beautiful creek.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you submerge all the way? Or
No, it
do you
takes
just...
me a long time to dry my hair.
Okay.
So I usually have a stick and tie it up. But I run up and down hills, get really hot. If it's winter, I've got my woolly clothes on, get really hot, run down, throw the clothes off, dive in. In the summertime, I might stay in there a bit longer, but in the winter, it's not long.
Okay.
Maybe 10 seconds. I think Jack's timed me at times.
Yeah.
And then jump out, dry off, put the nice warm woolies back on. And I was in Maryland last year, and we found a beautiful lake. So I could go on a deck and go right down into the deep. And the second morning, the ground was white with ice.
Oh, that's cool.
So I dived in and jumped out, dried, got the clothes back on, walking back, and it feels like I've had an injection of power. It's just amazing.
Well, you were joking about the coffee thing. Like, you don't drink coffee, but that's like the coffee for you, right?
Oh, yes.
That's cool. All right, so I wanted to kind of deep dive with you just a bit. I was watching an interview with you from a while ago, and you kind of said that what started you on this journey was your oldest daughter at the time got, I believe, an ear infection that was treated with just antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic. It didn't do anything.
Yeah, it was just so frustrating because every time the antibiotic would stop, it'd come back.
Yeah.
And I was, I think, 25 at the time. And I was brought up with, you get sick, you go to the doctor and get a drug and you get better.
Yeah.
And I never questioned that. And then I trained as a psych nurse and, there's just drug therapy. And it's almost as if something you never think about and you never question it. Well, I started to question after 6 weeks and 4 courses of antibiotics. I thought, I don't want this, but I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't want to put my child's hearing at risk. And I thank God to this day for that feeling I had of total frustration. It's almost like you're in a corner. You don't want this, but is there something else? And so it was 2 years later. Next child got an earache. Didn't tell my family because you get pressured.
Yeah.
Because they all say, don't play with the ears, you'll go deaf. Sees fear. And there was an old lady next door. She's 85. I said, what did your mother do when you had an earache? She said, Mum would steam up an onion on the stove, ran home, steamed the onion on the stove, put it on my son's ear. He slept for 2 hours. I don't think he's had another earache. Wow. So I was like a woman possessed.
Wow.
There is something else.
Yeah. What did research look like at that time? Obviously, it's not like it is now. We don't just go to Google.
So this is 1980.
Right.
So there wasn't a lot.
Right.
There wasn't a lot. That's why I went to the old ladies.
Yeah.
Because this was before the discovery of antibiotics.
Yeah.
Antibiotics were discovered in 1929. So those old people, they're not with us anymore.
Right.
I'm now the old person. So I feel a great responsible for letting this know. So there wasn't a lot around, but there were books. One book was Back to Eden by Jethro Kloss, and that was written, I think, the early 1900s. It's called The Bible on Herbs. So there were certainly books, and one of my first books was The Ministry of Healing by Ellen White. So that came about probably a year after this ear incident that I became a Christian.
Oh, wow.
And when I became a Christian, I wanted to know, how does God view this? How does God view the body? Well, it's not rocket science, is it? He designed it to heal. And I grew up in a Presbyterian church, fifth generation Australian Scottish descent. I never heard about health. So I heard the story of Daniel in the lion's den. I heard the story of what's the other one? Daniel's 3 friends in the flaming fire. But I never heard about Daniel as a young 15-year-old coming into Babylon and refusing the king's food and wine. I never heard that story. And Daniel, the Bible says that, and Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the king's food and wine. And he requested if he could eat pulse. Well, pulse is vegetables, and water to drink. And I thought it was very interesting the way the Bible says that God put him in favour with the prince of eunuchs and said, okay, we'll give you 10 days. And I reckon that's a really good test. 10 days. Let's just try it. And in 1 Thessalonians 5:21, the Bible says, prove all things. That's a challenge. Prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. In other words, prove it. And that's what I have done. I've proven this in my own life. So I just do it. Yeah. And people say, Barbara, you're so disciplined. I say, well, it works. Yeah. So I do it. Yeah. And so there's Daniel, and at the end of 3 years, the king found him and his friends 10 times smarter than all the wise men. Yeah. So that's just not health to the body, it's also health to the mind.
We were talking earlier. We tend to overcomplicate and overthink things, but just going back to God's provisions, whole foods, organic foods is what is there. When we went to the grocery store, you don't need all these supplements or all these different things. Yeah. You just check the basic foundation boxes.
I thought that was interesting because there's such a emphasis now on supplementing with everything. You got to have the multivitamin. You got to, caffeine even. I hear you say that, hey, I take this stuff if I feel like I need it.
People say to me, how do you keep up the pace, Barbara?
Right.
Because I'm 71 now, and yet I've still got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And they say, how do you do it? And I say, well, I found a formula. It's called Sustain Me. It's going to bed early. It's drinking adequate water. It's eating good food. And even though I've just had a very hectic week, and even though I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, because I get 8 hours every night, I can actually cope with something like that occasionally. Sure. But we have a naturopath at our retreat who gives a lot of supplements, and my husband's always talking to her saying, don't. Because when the guests go home, you know what they think? Oh, I don't need to drink that much water or exercise. I'll just take the supplement.
I can just take that electrolyte, this to get my hydration, or I can do,
so you can see they can almost be an excuse not to actually.
So we're almost kind of programmed to think like that from the supplement companies, because when we were just walking through the store, just with our conversations, like when you mentioned, well, you don't really, or you had mentioned, well, I get this vitamin from cilantro or parsley, and I'm thinking automatically like that easy, convenient fix. As long as I got all these vitamins in my cabinet, I'm good. So to piggyback off of that question, Ms. Barbara, for someone just starting their health journey, what are the 3 lifestyle changes you would recommend that can make the biggest impact?
I think, and that's a very hard question, only three.
Top three.
My top three would be sleep.
Okay.
Okay.
We've got to get more sleep, and we've got to grab those hours before midnight. And the good news is that you can train yourself back into sleep if you're actually not having that much sleep. Little by little, you can train yourself into it, because we are amazing creatures. God made us such that we can adapt and adjust. And if we didn't, most of us would be dead.
Mm-hmm.
So you can adapt and adjust to negative lifestyle habits, and you can adapt and adjust to good ones. So sleep, get
Sleep's
some
a big
more
one.
sleep.
Okay.
Another one is hydration.
Okay.
Most people are dehydrated. And there's a book by Dr. Batman Geheldage. I think your dad said he'd interviewed him. His two other titles to his book is He's Not Sick, He's Thirsty. And the other title is Don't Treat Thirst with Medications. I think they're really apt, is just start drinking more water. Go to bed every night with a glass of water next to your bed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the first thing you do when you wake up is start drinking.
And we were talking earlier, you don't have to drink like a gallon or 2 gallons a day like, some of us were told. 8 glasses of water is kind of your rule of thumb to stay adequately hydrated.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. What's your third one, though? So it was sleep, hydration.
Well, we got sons who are tradesmen, and let's say we wanted them to build an extension. They're very good tradesmen, got good tools, only the best, but we don't provide the building materials. How can we possibly expect them to build? Same with the body. You must provide nutrients. No, the nutrients aren't found in tablets. The nutrients are found in food. So it's looking at your food and going organic as much as possible. And you might remember I picked up an organic tomato and said there's 9 times the iron in this tomato compared to a conventionally grown tomato. Mm-hmm. And I also am fussy where my dollar goes. I want to support that organic farmer.
Yeah, agreed.
I want to support the shepherds who are growing the sheep, and I'm going to buy wool. So it's just being mindful where your dollar goes. But that nourishing food, it's vital. You see, how can we expect to heal if we're eating devitalized food?
And I think it's worth noting too. I mean, those 3 things, it's pretty easy to get on the right track with that, right? You got sleep, you got water, and food.
And that's why I started with the illustration, so I'd catch a few people instead of, oh, here we go.
No, it makes total sense. It makes total sense.
In your opinion, do you ever think that there's a time and a place for medicine?
I think so. So 18 months ago, I'm walking on the rocks with my grandchildren, and I stepped on a very slippery rock, and my body went up in the air and slammed down on the rock on my hand. The lifesaver came running, looked at the hand and said, "You've got to go to hospital." It was slowly coming, the weirdest shape, and the pain was intense. So I went to emergency. And I'm very thankful for the skill of the orthopaedic surgeon, because my radius was out of
Oh, ouch.
total broken out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so glad for the pain-killing medication, so I didn't feel him pull it back into place. But I was confronted with 2 things in that emergency department, because I sat there for 6 hours. I was confronted, number one, the whole system's chocked up with people that don't know how to look after their bodies. I've got a sore finger. My heart's racing. I feel sick. I thought, I can't believe what I'm hearing here.
Yeah.
The orthopaedic surgeon probably would have seen me in an hour if it wasn't chocked up with all of that. And I'm sitting there thinking, I could fix them, I could fix them, I could fix them, I could fix them, I could fix them.
I know what's wrong with you. I know what's wrong with you.
And the other thing I was confronted with is, now I know why I do what I do, which is educating people on this incredible body and how to look after it.
Yeah, I feel like the body can heal itself, right? The problem seems to be that we don't give it the opportunity to.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Evan, and I'll give you an illustration, because I love illustrations. My greatest teacher taught me illustrations. That was Jesus. He used them. My daughter Emma's 5, and she said to me one day, "Mum, I'm going to grow up in a minute." Now, we know that it took her another 10 years.
I grew up in a minute, yeah.
Takes
you a while.
You see my illustration? and I wanted this arm to be better in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and
But it took time.
That's kind of the promise almost now. It's like, take this pill overnight, you'll lose weight, or this shot, or whatever it is, right?
That's right. And those quick fixes, they're buy now, pay later. And have you heard the poem "The Hard"? Marriage is hard, divorce is hard, choose your hard.
Yeah.
Saving your money's hard, being in debt's hard, choose your hard.
I like this, yeah.
Keeping fit every day, doing my 35 push-ups every day is hard.
Yeah.
Being obese is hard. You choose your hard.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad I experienced that hard of 6 weeks, 4 courses of antibiotics. I chose another hard.
Yeah.
And that was the time it takes to do natural remedies. But oh dear, it's buy now, pay later. A lot of work initially, but the results.
The results are there.
And to that, we were talking earlier about balance. How can one be healthy and check the majority of the boxes, but not overthink and overstress? So how do you define balance and health? Can someone be health conscious without being obsessive and overwhelmed?
They certainly can, and I love the way God's given us 1 minute at a time, and then He's going to give us another minute in a minute.
Yeah.
He gives us 1 day at a time. So it's just starting where you're at. And I encourage everyone to look realistically at their life, who they are, what they do, their family, where they're living, and what they can do. Mm-hmm. And so if it's going to take 4 hours to get organic food,
yeah.
Well, let's just get what we can right now from the supermarket, and let's just buy some pots and start growing some greens. So it's being realistic with where you are and what you can do. And I always encourage people to start where you're at and look at it and say, well, I can't do that, and I can't do that, but I could do that. Mm-hmm. And once you've conquered that, you often think, well, actually, now I could do that. Mm-hmm. So it's being realistic.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like your early story, starting out with what you could do. Yes. And learning and compounding. So again, we are in this fast-paced world and society where we have the phone and we need an answer now and we need a quick fix, and then we start to overthink and then overwhelm, and then we're doing our bodies a disservice because cortisol and stress and everything, and now we just are 5 steps back from when we were before we even got on the health kit.
Yep.
And it's a big day.
That's true, and it's trusting that, see, we serve a solution God.
Amen.
And He's got a way through this. And one of the first verses I used to quote, Psalm 32, verse 8, where God says, I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way that thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. What a promise. Mm-hmm. And I have found that God is true to His word. So often when you've got a situation, to just stop for a moment and say, Father in heaven, please give me some wisdom here. And it's amazing how God will bring to your mind some simple things, or you might get a phone call, or someone might come in, and it's
you just have to ask.
I'm sure we've all got stories of just incredible meetings. And Ecclesiastes 3 says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So yesterday I recited that whole section when I finished the seminar, just to show the people there's time. There's a time for this, and today's the first day of the rest of your life. You just start small, start where you are, and start with what you can do.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a time to be sick, because like your daughter, right, you found solutions in that sickness. And I think that comes from saying, okay, this is a bad thing, God, but what do I need to learn from it? I mean, I think we've all been there. And I think when you start asking questions like that, man, get ready to see some crazy stuff happen. Right? I mean, you obviously, it's like, look at you. You have blown up on the internet now, right? And it all spurred from that moment. I think that's a special thing. I think that's a really, really cool.
And to that, I have this question. What roles does faith play in healing? Have you seen prayer, forgiveness, or maybe bitterness or spiritual surrender bring physical healing or prevent healing?
I have, and this is an area of great interest to me because I used to work as a psychiatric nurse. And you know what? I looked at the group therapies, I looked at the medication, and in the back of my mind, you know what I said? Well, this isn't working. But I put it on hold. I'm only 19, 20. And then later on, I started to look at it in more detail. And there are two systems of healing today. One's based on fear and one's based on faith. The one based on fear is based on a theory that we evolved, so we cannot heal. So $1 billion industry was created to make drugs, and that industry is based on deception, not as it seemed, because drugs do not heal you. The other system is based on faith on the fact that we were created in the image of God to heal, and if we need a little bit of help, there's herbs. Psalm 104 verse 14, the Bible says God gave herbs for the service of man. They work with the needs of the body, and this is truth. So when I'm lecturing, I'll put those two on the board, and,
She's preaching.
and you see it. You see it. So
I love it.
It has a lot to do with it. That's why I give my daughter's story. I'm going to grow up in a minute. I'm going
I
to.
love that.
I'm going to be better in a minute. It does take time, but I often give this illustration. Well, it took 20 years for this to eventuate in your body. It's not going to take 20 years to go.
Yeah.
But it might take 1 or 2 for it to be conquered. As a baby grows, and you've had babies, and you can watch them intently all day, but you won't see them grow. But you can go away for a week and come back and you
Yes.
think, wow, look at that baby.
Look how big they got. Yeah.
And that's how we heal, little by little by little. And you are so right, we're a society where everything's at our fingertips. And we press a button, we got food straight away, we got an answer straight away. And yet it's buy now, pay later. You know,
It is.
we're not getting the results.
Okay, so you are a wealth of knowledge with all this. I want to, if you don't mind, go through a couple rapid fires with you. Just fact or fiction, health myths, okay? I think this will be fun. Okay, number one, this is kind of a fad that I'm seeing a lot of right now. Nicotine being healthy for you.
Nicotine is addictive, so I don't advise.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to check that one off. All right. Let's see, go to the next. Okay, this one's weird. So there is a myth or a thing out there that says that sunburns won't be as bad if you're not wearing sunglasses.
It's true.
Is it really?
It is, because our eyes, when we go outside, it gives a message to our brain. Oh, it's very strong, close down little receptor sites on the skin, and you don't burn as easy.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh,
Have you
wow.
heard this before?
No, I haven't.
I heard that and I was like, I'm
That
going to
is
ask Barbara
cool.
and Neil about this.
That is cool.
It's crazy, right?
Wow.
Okay, good to know. All right, moving on. Okay, staring at the sun or looking at the sun is good for eyesight.
No.
I knew it.
But our eyes do need sun.
Yeah.
But just being outside, I mean, our eyes will tell us not to look at the sun. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But being outside, the ultraviolet rays from the sun go through neurochemical pathways and hit certain places in the brain. And I could spend another 15 minutes telling you all of that.
Yeah.
But these are rapid fires.
Hey, listen, don't let me slow you down. If there's anything that you want to go on and on about, believe me, we are here because of you. So you just tell us. Okay, the next one. Breast implants are always dangerous.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I had a close friend that had hers removed after 4 years, and the doctor didn't tell her this, but the nurse said to her, you know, they're mouldy.
Gosh.
Eesh.
Gosh.
And dear, something else I want to say here, women, love what you have. Love the way you are, because the men love you.
Yeah.
It is the women that usually want the implants because they want to look like the Barbie doll. I don't agree with Barbie dolls because the 15-year-old wakes up one morning, looks in the mirror and knows Barbie she ain't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Do you know what dolls are for? So little girls can be mothers.
Yeah.
So that it's this whole this whole view of women as objects, sexual objects. But you ask the man, and he loves the woman the way she is.
Yeah, 100%.
So he loves her breasts the way they are. And one man told me that he was going out with this new girl. They were on the beach. He put his hand over on her breast. It was cold. He called it off immediately. It was abort.
And that goes back to, like, I think the larger idea that, like, fungus is definitely a culprit. It's doing bad stuff. Maybe it doesn't manifest as a cancer, but it's manifesting as something negative within the body. Okay. Raw milk is always healthier than pasteurized.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on A2 milk?
Well, people say to me, what milk do you drink, Barbara? I say, I'm weaned, I eat food.
Yeah.
Milk's for babies. So I actually don't advocate milk.
Interesting.
But I do recognise there are some organic dairy farmers and their kids drink milk and they drink milk. But then I look at their history and they're 4-generation dairy farmers. I'm afraid I can't even handle raw milk. It's not in my genes. So I prefer to go plants.
Yeah, fair enough. Alkaline water can change your body's pH so that you never get disease.
Oh, it sounds too good to be true.
Yes, it does.
But you see, what we've got is we've got blood pH and we've got tissue pH. And when I give my pH lecture, I define that. And if you drink alkaline water just after you've eaten your meal, well, it's going to negate all your stomach acid, so you won't be able to break your protein down. So there's...
Interesting.
Yeah, and we all want protein because we all want strong muscles.
Yep. It was too good to be true. All right.
That quick fix.
I know. Just drink alkaline water, man. It's a piece of cake.
But, it is true that acid is where fungus thrives.
Yeah.
But you see, when you drink water, it's just going into your gut.
Yeah.
It's getting out of there and into the blood that we want to alkalize. And what alkalizes the most is green drinks.
Well, is it even healthy then for the gut? I mean, is it alkalizing the gut?
It is, but your stomach is only acid, and the stomach's the only part of the body that is acid, just when you're eating.
Right.
So having the alkaline water first thing in the morning is fine.
Yeah.
And between meals, fine. So
okay.
Depends when.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. We talked about this a little bit, but okay, I want to talk about coffee. Is clean coffee, mycotoxin tested coffee, good for you? Should you avoid coffee? Should you avoid caffeine in general?
I personally think that you should avoid coffee and tea and all the energy drinks because they're high in caffeine.
The caffeine component, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And the reason is that it has a effect on the body like a crisis. So it gets blood pressure up, it causes an insulin response, so it's no good for the diabetic. It disrupts the neurotransmitters in the brain. So there's a whole lot of actions that happen with caffeine. But I do, in the next breath, acknowledge that if it's made in the traditional Italian way, coffee can be made with very, very little caffeine in it, but it is an art.
Yeah.
And my daughter worked in an Italian restaurant. She said, I have one waiter that can do it. I've been trying for 2 years. She said, I can't do it.
Wow, really?
So it's quite an art.
Like coffee. What about wine or alcohol? Occasionally, no, yes.
Well, I don't have it. The Australian Health Department have stated there's no safe dose of alcohol. It is a neurotoxin, which means it kills brain cells. So I don't advise it and I don't drink it.
Red wine's healthy though, right? Okay. Nut milks, good or bad? Is there one that is maybe healthier than others? I read something a while ago that said almond milk was high in like phytic acid and oxalates and can cause kidney stones.
If you drink 10 gallons a day.
Okay.
That's the crazy thing about it. There's not a lot of, like, if you make almond milk, you might do 1 cup of almonds to 4 cups of water.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of almond in almond milk.
Okay.
And wheat is high in oxalates and phytates, and no one talks about that.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
they sort of pick and choose what they're going to talk about.
Okay.
What about mineral water?
Mineral water, is that the sparkling water? I like sparkling water, but I don't drink it every day.
Okay.
So I think to have occasionally is quite nice, but we should mostly be drinking pure water.
I ask that because I'm
As he's drinking a mineral water.
carbonated water.
Well, it's got phosphoric acid in it, which can break up your bones.
Yeah.
So occasionally, often when I'm on a plane, I'll get a sparkling water, but probably 98% of the time the water I drink is plain water.
Well, let me just say thank you so much. You have inspired and have changed a lot of lives for the better, and I think that is a calling straight from God Himself. So I think.
Well, I give God all the glory.
I know you
because
do. No, I know you do.
I know that I am what I am purely because of Him,
Yeah.
and it amazes me because I'm just a little lady from the rainforest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just amazes me what He's done. I don't think I even realise what's happened, and I don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to help where I can.
Well, you have helped a lot, so thank you very, very much. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel, like this video, share this video around, tell your friends and family, tell them about Barbara O'Neill, the awesome Barbara O'Neill. Thank you again so much. See you guys on the next one.